you know, the trendy youth who want to be fashion conscious. And I'm sometimes wondering which of them is the least Gandhian. So is this just a change or is it a loss? I'm not sure. But, you know, spinning was a product of its times. Maybe it's gone, maybe that's okay. But Gandhian activism is not a product of those times. Gandhian activism is something we need now and probably need more than ever. The world is not in a really good shape. There is a directory of Gandhian constructive workers published by the Gandhi Peace Foundation in Delhi. It was published half a century after Gandhiji's death, and it listed 90, only 90, constructive workers who were younger than 60 years old, and less than 5 who were younger than 40 years old among 700 entries. I just wonder how thin that book would become if now, 15 years later, we now tried to count up the Gandhian constructive workers. How many young constructive workers would there be? And I also wonder if we now had a book of people teaching Gandhian courses, how thick that book would have become in that time. Okay, maybe it's a change, there's a trade-off, but again, let's think about what this might mean. Among those who are acquainted with Gandhi personally, most have passed away. Maybe Narayan Desai is the last one left who really spent substantial time with Gandhi. And there are still youngsters in India, plenty of them, who are doing grassroots work, probably in a Gandhian sense, if you like. Some of them are working under the umbrella of the National Alliance of People's Movements, but perhaps it's not unjustified for me to say that there isn't a Gandhian movement as such in India anymore. It doesn't mean that Gandhi has disappeared from India. Of course not. As I've been saying, just look at how many Gandhi courses there are, how many Gandhi centres there are, how many Gandhi journals there are, and that would dispel the notion. It's just that Gandhi has taken a different form. As we near the centennial anniversary of Gandhi's arrival back in India from South Africa as the Mahatma, maybe it's time to have a look at the legacy of Gandhi and his followers here in his homeland. And perhaps the task should be undertaken by those of us who are part of this Gandhi community. In 1983, a scholar investigated the Gandhian movement. The scholar was called Paul Clements, and bear with me, I'll quote this little bit from Clements. He said in 1983, "The Gandhian movement is remarkable in modern times because of its longevity and its combination of institutional strength and the ability to maintain a creative edge. 35 years after Gandhi himself was assassinated, it continues to attract adherents. It has evolved along with independent India and continues to offer a vital alternative to the prevailing ideas about how India should develop." Question, is that still the case? 15 years ago, about a dozen years after Clements' optimistic words, I wrote a piece on the Gandhian movement, and I noted then that following the battles in the mid-1970s of the JP movement, the energy of those who could still be called Gandhian activists seemed to revolve around some, village development work. But when I came to write, I could ask the question whether there was really a Gandhian movement or just some Gandhians living in the villages. And since then, most of even the JP-inspired Gandhians have aged, and Gandhi in India seems to have gone off on a different tack. So, as the Gandhians disappear, it doesn't mean that Gandhi has become irrelevant in all circles. I think I've already started to make that case. Where benefit can be gained by co-opting Gandhi, he's still very relevant. A prime example is in the political sphere. About 20 years ago, senior Orison Gandhian constructive worker Manmohan Chowdhury noted that many young people in India then saw Congress government as Gandhi's party. They saw that the political system was riddled with corruption, and in their minds this tainted the Mahatma and gave the Gandhian movement of philosophy, neither of which they knew very much, a bad name. Chowdhury said, and again let me quote, "Today Gandhi is being presented to the people as a fusty old grandad who admonishes children to keep quiet, not to contradict their elders, to have respect for those in authority, and so on. As father of the nation, he has been turned into the patron saint of the government of India. Those who do not care a fig about his ideas and principles use Gandhi for winning elections." That was Manmohan Chowdhury 20 years ago. Can I have this fan back on? I'm going to, I hope it doesn't make too much noise, but I'm starting to drip. I've come, a week ago I came from a Melbourne winter where it was 14 degrees, and here it's 40 degrees, and I haven't quite adjusted yet. I hope it doesn't make too much noise. That would be great. Okay. Manmohan Chowdhury's observations were very interesting at that time, but one wonders that now, so many years later, do the youngsters think about Gandhi at all when they think about elections? Manmohan Chowdhury was saying that, you know, the youngsters thought of Gandhi as the Congress party's leading figure, and there was this cross-contamination. But now I wonder how many young people actually think of Gandhi at all when they think in terms of politics. Of course, there's lots of politicians who are quite happy to appropriate Gandhi for their own benefit. We all know that. And one only has to remember the recent self-righteous indignation among certain politicians over the publication of the Gandhian biography by Joseph Laligo. They hadn't read the book. Inaccurate hearsay was enough for them to use the father of the nation for their own purposes. And by the way, those of you who are from Gujarat, where the book is supposedly being banned, it's on sale at half price at the main bookshop in Ahmedabad, and it's openly on sale at the airport in Ahmedabad. In the 1980s, we had another American scholar looking at the Gandhian movement. This was Ishwar Harris, who was living in America, and he wrote a paper called Sarvodaya in Crisis. In his analysis,